Hey there, everybody.
Hello.
This is Ed and Chris.
Hi.
We're here to taste wines virtually, as you at this point probably picked up your bottles of wine and your delicious, tasty treats that Chef
Well, what a thrill.
made for you. And we are pre-recording this early so that we can be in your living room as we speak via video. We do this every single week, so if you're just now discovering us, make a habit of it.
It's a great habit.
And
of all the habits out there,
this is a good one,
this
yeah.
is the one.
And you're safe at home. You don't have to worry about driving, and you don't have to worry about any icky bugs or any,
Well, luckily, all the bugs are dying where it's what they belong.
Yeah.
Well, a couple more degrees cooler,
Yeah,
and no more bugs.
yeah. And then, we also do this in person on Thursday nights as well. We are skipping this week due to the Autumn Leaves Festival.
The Great Grand Le Grand Festival.
Yes, so they closed down the streets, and it's nearly impossible to get to us on Thursday because of all the work going on. So we just close early on Thursday and then reopen for the festival for Friday, Saturday, and we're open on Sunday. If y'all are out and about, come see us.
And if you
have a
like the
glass of wine.
sound of poles smashing against cement, then this is the place to be. But other
Yeah, it's a
than
lot.
that,
It's a lot of racket on Thursday, but
that's one of them. I mean, I know people say, well, how could it be busier than Friday and Saturday? Well, everybody who's setting up needs the room, because they're trying to, it's a huge coordinated effort trying to get all the people here to set up their
how many,
tents.
6 blocks or something?
Yeah,
like that?
and it's like there's no space in between any of the tents.
Yeah.
So anyway, it helps the vendors get set up. It helps us catch our breath before the biggest weekend of the year. And so here we are.
Yeah, that's we're already got the pregame jitters. We're
Big
really
time.
it's starting to feel very real.
And I'm questioning everything. I've made all these huge orders, and I'm still think it's not enough. And then I'm scared it's going to be too much. And it's just these things will get to the most seasoned veterans like us. I mean, we're older than the hills.
Well, it's because we know what can go well and what can go wrong.
And it's kind of the sports analogies work well in this. Like they say you play like you practice.
Right.
Meaning, if you don't have a good week of practice, you're not going to play well.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for this. Everybody here knows how to cook and wait tables and serve wine. That's not the issue. It's just the preparation behind the scenes stuff is really what makes or break a weekend like this.
Yeah, it's a little bit different when there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people right outside your door, barreling in and out of your door.
I mean, just staff parking alone is a logistical nightmare.
I'm glad you brought that up. We need to figure that out.
Well, we're going to use the rope factory again this year, I think, but we'll figure it out.
Well, when you get a chance, come see us at ONS, downtown Mount Airy. But when you can't, then you can do things like this. So let's start off. Chef Chris and I are huge fans of the Loire Valley. And there's great wines like this, vouvray, one of our favorite regions. Vouvray is always Chenin Blanc. I'm going to get you that label. Again, the glare, sorry. So this is always, when you see Vouvray, it's always going to be Chenin Blanc, okay? And Careme is the producer here, is a husband and wife, thank you.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
That's
kind of why you
maybe I did have to stumble on that one. But they
husband and aardvark.
They're right, could be. They are a negociant, so they don't actually grow the grapes, but they have relationships with the different farmers of vineyards. This is a very common practice all around the world, and a lot of people don't understand that you don't have to have vineyards to be a winemaker, but you better know. You better have a really good relationship with the farmers because you're totally relying on the quality of their products. So this is a great relationship for both parties. You can focus on agriculture and not worry about winemaking, or you can work.
Or like we've talked about a lot lately, Chef. All the, especially you've been down there in the cellar a lot. I mean, all the work that has to be done has nothing to do with the vineyard.
Right.
So what a relief for both parties.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So one
Yep.
person can worry about labels and wine and marketing and all the things, the
Fermentation.
myriad of things, and then the farmer can farm.
That's
and,
right.
I mean, so both parties benefit, and the confidence,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
for both parties to
Oh,
know my grapes are sold before I harvest, and the other party is our wine is going to be, we're going to have great grapes before we have to do anything else.
Absolutely, and that's what these negotiants are all about. It is a very common practice, if not the norm in France. And then, you see it more and more today. Prisoner is a perfect example where you have one of the greatest American wines, iconic, that was spawned from, the genesis of this was relationships. And so it can be done, and it can be done well. It is a lot of work from bud break to the wine in the bottle in front of you. So if you divide that work up a little bit, it seems to have a better chance of being beautiful. So enough about how it got into our glass. What are we tasting? What do you got, Chef? Have you got in there yet?
I have. I've gotten in here 3 or 4 times. Well, first, as in,
That's that classic Chenin nose.
it is classic, and not only the nose, that classic Chenin minerality. The Loire is just famous for their minerality in their wines.
Good.
And yeah,
Mouth watering.
mouth watering, the acid, the citrus, the lime and melon, but not tropical.
Right.
A subtle lime and
It's
melon,
kinda like,
but it's just not a tropical fruit. But I mean,
like underripe melon.
yeah, underripe melon, lime rind, not juice, is what I'm getting.
Oh yeah.
It's just
The acidity here is
It's
just unrelenting. In a
So
good way.
in a
In a
very,
good way.
very
Like
good
my
way.
mouth is still leaking now, even 15, 20 seconds after.
This is one of the greatest food wines ever made.
And and that's where I was about to say, Chef, and that's why we like it so much as chefs, is because of that beautiful acidity. And this almost has like a second or third wave of acidity that really just releases from the wine. We're serving it a little bit cooler probably than we should. As it warms, it will get a little bit more textural component. And Chenin does have that. A lot of people say it has like a lanolin or a waxiness to it. Whatever you want to call it, it really is a unique grape in that sense, because you just don't get that experience from other grapes. And as unpopular, I don't want to say it's unpopular. It's not nearly as popular as other white grapes, but it should be.
Oh,
Because,
boy, should
right,
it be.
Yeah, it should be. And we're doing our part, Chef.
Amen. And we should continue to carry the flag. I don't know if I was reading a great article on Chenin. I forwarded it to you. And basically this gentleman had written like the starter's guide to Chenin Blanc.
Yeah.
And he was talking about breaking down, France, South Africa, California,
Right.
which the three,
Yeah.
predominant. You could grow Chenin.
California
Oregon
really is emerging.
and
Yeah.
Oregon has some good Chenin as well, but it was just breaking down the regions and the differences between them and how it really is. Anybody who cares about wine needs to have a Chenin repertoire.
We were actually, I hate to cut you off, but I was talking about Prisoner, just reminded me, their white blend has Chenin
It has
in it.
Chenin in it.
And
Makes sense.
I think that's fantastic.
Somebody that intelligent obviously is going to reach.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, and that was the premise of the article. It's like if you're serious about wine, you've got to have a Chenin portfolio. And he was
love
like,
it.
here's the
I
starter
love it.
kits.
If you're serious
about wine, you have to be serious
Yeah.
about Chenin. And it talked about the couple of Loire styles, again, the couple of South African styles, and how to tell the difference. And but there's just such versatile and beautiful wines, and their expression, as we see now, because I don't think there's a grape anywhere that's not being tried in California or
Right.
in different areas, but it's always compared to the Homer.
Yeah.
Chenin's always going to be compared to the Loire.
Yeah.
No matter where you grow it, whether it's delicious and different, but that's where she belongs.
And Vouvray is the place for great And also, I want you to take note that vouvrays are also very ageable because of that acidity. And they're much like Riesling, that they are very prone to evolution in the bottle, meaning they are going to change, bring on different flavors and bouquets while in the bottle, where many wines rely on their time in oak to get those secondary or tertiary smells and flavors. Vouvray, a lot like Riesling, they're kind of known for changing it up while after you've already got them, and that is a good thing. Trust me, I don't mean this in a negative way. You have a wine, you might have, in other words, you might have 7 different bottles of wine in one. Depending on when you open that bottle, it's going to show a different version of itself, and that's a lot of fun.
So what you're saying is there's a case minimum. Because
Well, you should,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
you can't just buy it and drink it in the next few months, because then you won't know what it'll taste like in the coming years.
That's a good point.
Or get 2 cases.
Yep. Drink a bottle every 6 months should be good.
It'd be good. And take notes.
Well, what are you going to throw at this food wise, Chef?
Oh my goodness. So
Man, the minerals are really opening
mineral.
up.
I mean, with it blooming like this as it warms up,
Yeah,
do you think we have enough to really understand that?
you're probably right.
I'll worry about these things.
Just to be on the safe side.
Thank you so much. All right, my friend, what we have here is a little cabbage slaw of the Asian persuasion. We've got some cashews, we've got some garlic, we've got cilantro, and then we've topped it with poached shrimp and pickled ginger. I think all these things should be, a home run with this style.
I like the nuts. That's
You gotta have
that's
the
a great
texture.
with all the brightness.
The brightness, you need a little fatty cashew in there, and that textural change with the shrimp. I think with our Chenin here, it's going to be a winner. We love these bright flavors to go with this bright wine. But the cabbage and the cashews will certainly give it a perfect base to carry it through. But the ginger and cilantro really hit on these high notes on this as well. So that's the theory behind it.
Mm-hmm.
See?
What a treat.
But I feel like this wine loves ginger. It's just
I do too.
Even on the nose, you can get a little bit of you almost get a little ginger, but more of a pickled ginger, not a fresh ginger. A fresh ginger can be super intense, and so that's why I used the pickled, because we didn't want it to be too sharp and compete with the brightness. But I think the pickled ginger has enough mellow.
Well, even the mellower version of ginger being the pickled side, it still carries a punch, even at its mellowed level. And this wine is one of the few that could rise to that.
Right.
And so it's really, this wine can stand up to those flavors and at the same time not wash away the delicacy of the fresh cabbage.
And again, I think the textural weight of this allows it to do both. I mean, what a great wine! This is what we're talking about with this is something you always want in your repertoire when you're serious about your food and your wine together. When you have a serious wine like this, that can do so many things, and both as a aperitif wine and as a food wine.
Chef, I'm going to have to do something because I'm getting blinded by this light.
I know it's been overcast all day, and now we're getting this flash of sunlight. So now you're just going to have to sit here and watch me drink wine for a minute while Ed moves around some plants.
See if I can
Oh yeah,
mediate that a little bit.
it's helping. Now it's much more tropical with the plant there.
Kind of. Sorry.
That
Thank you for your
helps,
patience.
huh?
This is a top production.
In our production notes, that didn't really come up. We didn't look at the weather report.
Once we get to the big time, we won't have to worry about little things like this.
No,
We'll
no.
just go cut and then start over when
Well,
everything's
it'd
fixed.
be the editing, and of course the team will will be
They'll rush in here
relentless.
and powder us and give us massages and feed us peeled grapes.
Well, we probably would have had a weather meeting pre-production.
We'd have a whole team just focused on the weather.
Focused on the weather and the sunlight and how it would affect our quality here.
Yeah, we're known for our production value.
We really are, though. Now that you think about it, I mean, we used to have when we used to do all the live stuff. We had a lot of funny things: motorcycles, horns, phones ringing. I mean, we had it all. I mean, we've really evolved to a place where these actually are gotten a lot better.
Chef, I got to talk about this though. This is one of the craziest things in our professional career that's ever happened. We had a chef's table for, how many people was it? 14?
When was this?
Over the weekend?
Oh,
11.
it was 11. Yes,
11,
it was
sorry,
11.
11. It was the weekend
Well,
before
we did 16 for the weekend.
Yeah, so it was
So for the totality, we had 5 on Saturday, 11 on Friday.
So we had 11 people. The chef's table was full. And we did, I don't know how you even prepare for this, even if we knew we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. A parade of 200 18-wheelers came rolling down Main Street and blowing their horns as they went by our restaurant front door.
And granted, an 18-wheeler horn is designed at 80 miles an hour, a vehicle, hundreds of yards away from you with their windows up, can hear, also traveling at 80 miles an hour. So you think about the decibels that you need.
It was concussions.
I mean,
like
how
you
the
could
windows.
feel.
I mean, like when you're in the kitchen under the hood, away. I mean, like it's pretty rare you hear anything in the dining room.
He's at the back of the restaurant.
Like every now and then, like if you had a band, you could tell there was music, but you couldn't even make out a word. I mean, our ears were shattering.
It was crazy.
With that kind of ambient noise. I mean,
you can't make this up. And the chef's table is a elegant 8-course meal.
An experience.
And an experience. And I was like, you know what?
We
just rolled with it. The people were very understanding.
They were incredibly understanding.
But I'm telling you, that I never saw that one coming. I tried to start talking about the wine and
and it wasn't one. I mean, it's lasted for 45 minutes.
I've never seen so many trucks.
We went through 2 courses before it was over.
It was hysterical.
I mean, we were standing from this far from each other to our guests, explaining the wine and the food, and you couldn't hear.
Wow.
I was telling the group of ladies, I was like, in the summer and fall, downtown Mount Airy, you never know what you're going to see. I mean, you might see a tractor pull, you might see a bunch of llamas, you might see, a bunch of squad cars. I mean, it's quite the circus all the time. You might see a moonshine run. I mean, if you want to do something weird, Mount Airy will let you use Main Street.
Yeah, it's available.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, you could literally have a horse race.
That's a great idea. We should
do a horse race.
But we should be betting on the horses.
I mean, come on, number 3.
Yeah.
Lucky number 3. No matter what horse it is, I'm betting on the 3 horse.
We're betting on the 3 horse, even if it's like a donkey. All right, so I just had to share that with you. That was one of the most awkward, bizarre moments.
It blocked that memory out.
Oh yeah, I wish I could, but it's gonna make for a great story. All right, so I guess we should move on to this beautiful red blend, Chef. This is one that you like. You really like this label a lot. It's really pretty artwork.
It's a gorgeous label. I mean, how would you not be happy with that label?
Kivelstadt Vineyards is who we're talking about here today. They have holdings in the North Coast area. And this blend happens to be from Mendocino. They have holdings, I believe, in Sonoma as well. And they might even have some in Lake, if I'm not mistaken. But certainly this is a Mendocino offering. And this is and the reason why I was excited that this made the cut, because Chef loves Southern Rhone blends. And this happens to be a blend of Syrah, Grenache, and Carignan. A lot of times they're GSMs in southern France, but they can also be with the C as well. Carignan is also a very prominent blender with Grenache and Syrah in the southern Rhone. And of course, it's also a very popular grape in Spain as well. So this grape brings a lot of the high-toned notes, where Mourvedre would bring more like a broader, darker fruit. So this is going to be a little bit on the higher tone side, Chef, than your typical GSM blend. But I want to make note here that there has been, unlike Southern Rhone, there has been the addition of new oak. Only 10%, but you would never really see that in France. But it's only 10% new oak, but it's 16 months. So it's got some time. Even though that 10% is on new oak, it was in there a very long time. But it also at the same time gives the other 90% time to soften as well. And when they are reintroduced to one another, it just adds just that little extra something. And I do believe, it has a beautiful nose in it.
This does not taste like I thought it would. And I mean it in a good way.
Yeah, but it's interesting because
the vouvray is still there too, though.
Oh yeah,
because that's a big finish on that.
It is.
Vouvray.
You better keep drinking them. So those red fruits are very prominent. It does taste very Grenache-y, and that Carignan just really, I think, follows through with the red fruit. And you can see the color here. The Syrah is, you can see how red that is. Where typically, if you had Mourvedre in there, the Syrah Mourvedre would dominate. It would be a much darker color. Here, this is certainly a brighter red. Hey, maybe I can. I was trying to catch that sunlight.
Well, I was catching it when it was over there.
Yeah.
And it's a really bright wine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very, very light and
so it can
appearance.
almost, just so knowing what the grapes are, you see
see
something
right
that
through it.
red, you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
going to be really tart.
Yeah, you can see right through it.
But this is where that 1/10 of oakage really makes a difference in the softening, the rounding, without tasting. Let's be honest. I mean, this tastes pretty darn French for
It's
California.
incredibly French. Are you getting a lot of cinnamon? I'm getting cinnamon.
Absolutely. And
Was not expecting that.
well, that's that 10%.
It's that.
new
I
oak,
mean, but that new oak has really imparted
the spice.
the spice on this. You're getting the fig and the cinnamon and almost the clove.
Yeah, I would say
But it's not
to me it leans
heavy.
towards allspice.
Allspice, which all those things are in allspice.
Yeah, they're all. That's baking spices can be
But,
everything.
But it doesn't taste like fruitcake. I mean, when we talk about these ingredients, I know your mind conjures up, like
Yeah.
but it's not. It's still very.
The fruit is fresh.
It's fresh, but it has a solid finish. I mean, it's very.
It's crazy too. There's
structure is still solid.
about on the second sip, you'll start to notice that there are some nice tannins in here, and we don't always see a lot of tannin from Southern Rhone blends. This has got it again. That 10% on oak makes the difference. This would be a crowd pleaser.
It's almost as fortified on the nose. For some, I mean,
This
is
would be
cool,
a crowd pleaser
it's
for
a
sure.
cool wine.
But wine geeks like us, we can really appreciate it too because there's a lot to think about here. Also got a little in there, Chef. So I got like a little orange tea. Little orange tea in there. This is going to continue to open up, and it's going to continue to evolve. And once again, you've got grapes here that can age, and with the addition of oak, although it's only 10% oak, that will give it a little bit of extra ageability for sure. But it doesn't need aging. It's really ready to go.
Ready to go.
But those tannins are sneaky, and they're not I wouldn't say they're real obvious tannins. They just kind of slowly build.
They
which
help
is
carry.
great.
They help carry it. This wine doesn't die on your tongue. Those tannins help keep it in the back.
Yummy. That is
Terrific.
delicious.
That's absolutely terrific. What a treat. I mean, I was not expecting.
So we got
when we looked at it.
True French, and then we got a homage to France, and from Mendocino. You know, I've been talking about Mendocino a lot. If anybody that's been here in person knows, I've been doing a lot of Mendocino wines here at our tastings on Thursdays, and I can't remember which ones I've put here on the video, but Mendocino is booming right now, and it's spilling. You know, you got people spilling out from Napa. You know, first they spilled over to Sonoma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like Napa made it, then Sonoma made it. Now you're going to see Mendocino is going to make it big time. I'm telling you, they keep producing wine like this. Lake's right beside it.
Lake's beside it. It's
Yeah.
not in it.
So
Because I mean, it seemed like Lake was a big spot for
so
all the
that
big
North
boys.
Coast. Yeah.
Mhm.
So those four counties, and then there's another one that we dipped into. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Was Yolo County.
Yolo County, yeah.
So there's just you know, it's just going to take over the whole freaking state, and we're not complaining about it because that just means more good wine.
Well, and you know, California could use more vineyards and less of the rest.
Heard that.
My opinion.
Less people,
Yeah.
more vineyards.
That's a great recipe for pretty much anything.
Well, Chef, what do you got to pair with
You
this?
feel like a Southern Rhone ragu.
Oh yeah.
So voila, we have some braised pork, some braised beef, several mushrooms, tomato.
Wow.
I've got the Carolina Gold rice in there,
Yeah.
and topped it with some chev, some goat cheese.
Mm.
And if that's not
Wow.
a great little stew to go with a Rhone wine, I don't know what is. I would want that with this.
Mm-hmm. Well, the tomato
Acid tones it down. So
going
then-
with those with that with the brightness that we have in our wine, the goat cheese, unbelievable.
I mean, it lightens up the beef and the pork, I believe, and the mushrooms. Because,
Yep.
you know, we're not quite ready for January style
Right.
stew. But the pork lightens it up. But I completely agree. I think that the cheese and all the acid from the tomato really lend itself well to this wine.
Mm.
Yum yum. And this is really changing in the glass. You know, the vouvray's gone now. Gotten the palate cleansed on several sips, and it's really showing itself.
Yeah.
super well right now. This is delicious.
I imagine, Chef, that you're going to end up with a bunch of those at your house.
That's a great assumption.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very astute observation.
Mm.
See how they're labeling each bottle number?
Yeah, can you stick that over there? Each individually labeled bottles?
I will have a collection of those numbers.
Mm-hmm. So you get the idea here. We have,
This is which I would like that too.
when you see something like that, that's typically someone that thinks that it's not just a bunch of bottles. Each one matters.
I mean, that's important.
And that's a whole another level of detail by the winemaker.
And caring.
Yeah, absolutely. It really individualizes each bottle, and I think that's a really nice touch.
I can tell you that bottle 3,736 means something to them,
Mm-hmm.
or they wouldn't have bothered to do it.
Exactly.
And it means something to us. And
Yeah.
so they were right,
Mm-hmm.
because here we are enjoying this specific bottle, and they were right to put it on there because they care. And now here we all
Mhm.
are caring as well.
Absolutely. And also,
And a moment in
sharing
time.
is caring.
Sharing is caring.
So
Because you
we'll
don't
share
have
some.
enough wine to finish your little braise there. I don't see why not. Thank you.
Well, we've got to skedaddle out of this video, Chef. You have a catering tonight,
I do.
and more next week. It's something to think about out there if y'all are interested in the holiday party thing, that's coming up quicker than you can imagine. And we do caterings all the time,
We do.
Chef, but come holiday season, they really ramp up.
They ramp up a lot, and last year we obviously took a hit on those sort of things, but hopefully people now will start to gather again for the holidays. And we want to do our part. Do you want it at your home? Do you want it here at the winery?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a special chef's table? You want a little private dinner in the barrel room?
Yeah. We do it. We have a
do it.
special chef's table planned for the last weekend of October. We had a
We do.
special request, and that's going to be a good one too.
Oh, it'll be a real good one. We've been on a roll though here lately.
Oh yes, we sure have. We've got two nights already filled up in the upcoming month, and it's become such a social thing too. It's not
That's
just
true.
about the food. And God knows that's why they're here, but there's more to it than just the food. That social aspect of the chef's table is something that's really blossomed.
Well, I think this video encapsulates well the reason we're here doing these is because the Thursday night tastings that you host are so popular. People love food and wine, and they're really getting as geeky as we are about it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So it's no longer pour me something. I'm thirsty.
Right.
I'm gonna have this with dinner.
Yeah.
People are like super getting into it, and
Yeah.
what we're seeing with wine is what happened with the explosion of Food Network.
Mm-hmm.
Every person who buys a chicken, can talk for an hour and a half about how you ought to make it or prepare it. These people who would never just roast it.
Yeah.
But, Food Network turned everybody into a foodie.
Yeah.
So we're now seeing that level of interest in wine, and I love it.
Yeah,
and it's why the
great.
Thursdays have become so popular, and it's why the chef's tables are becoming so popular. And I know this is true for you, but I love to see it for you when people who sit down are just like,
I don't really drink
I don't drink this, I don't do that, and like they're carrying a case of it out after a chef's table. That's
fun.
You have to have an audience. You
That's
have to have a
when-
captive audience because if you don't have that, people won't do it. They won't try it.
Well, that's how we've done our due diligence of sharing what we know, and someone else on the other side not only hearing that message but getting it and catching the same freaking disease we have.
Yes.
Of I want more good wine and more good food.
Yes.
And that's really what it's about. But it just takes that special moment and that special someone to do it. And boy, it's great to have that opportunity
If
to
y'all
share
knew
what we
how
know.
much that means to us,
It means
for people to
everything,
have that wine and beat moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that means the world to
Yeah,
us.
yep. We had a couple of those over the weekend too. It was really fascinating. We had I think we had 5 whites, on Friday night.
Friday night we did.
And
Seafood laden.
and I had this person say, I do not drink white wines, and yet every time, like, can I get a little more of that?
Yeah.
A little more of that? And it was because when you pair the right wine with the right food, then you begin to understand that it's not always just about your personal taste. It's more about that perfect pairing and having the right wine at the right time.
It is the perfect pairing, and the thing is, it's Ed and I have a style. Our collaboration has a style, and so sometimes it's always give and take. Sometimes the wine needs something, sometimes the food needs something, but you don't start out with any preconceived notion.
Yep.
And I think that's what makes it work because we're not tethered to any idea or formula or anything like
We're not.
that. It's like we let it all speak for itself, and it happens organically, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah,
and it's great to see it come together.
I know we're getting late, Chef. And,
Yeah, we are.
But I gotta say one last thing. I was telling people at the table how, when I wake up that morning and I come into work, I have no idea which wines are going to be on that menu in about 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is from the time we start. I think we usually kind of get it nailed down around 3.
That's
3
usually
or
when
4,
the final
we finally made that decision.
We
But
start talking about it early in the week.
Yeah.
But you know, again,
Not until we taste through.
Ed pairs to the nuance, not to the protein. So you can't until it all starting to come together. I mean, even though I may know on Tuesday, hey, I'm going to do this and this, but that doesn't mean that's what it tastes
One
like.
ingredient can throw it
Right. It
that
doesn't, I
pairing
mean,
off.
just because you know a couple of things are coming, it has nothing to do with how it actually tastes in your mouth.
Yeah.
And,
But I love looking at that menu. Once we finally get through all the scribble notes and it's printed up, Becca starts printing up our menu and it starts coming to life.
oh, it's a beautiful
And you're
thing.
like, holy cow,
like
we've got 4 French wines.
you hold it like,
like-
you sweet thing.
And you never knew how it was going to end. You had no idea that those wines were going to end up.
No, you don't. And there's been for no reason at all, except for, you know, you're tasting through them, you know, 8 different countries or regions.
Right, yeah.
And then you could have 7 from the same region.
Yep.
It's like, if you sat
fun.
down and went through our
The-
400 menus that we've
Yeah.
done at the chef's table, I mean,
It'd be interesting
you would
to
never
see,
see a
just
repeat.
just the changes that,
Mm-hmm.
that it is, and it does vary season to season too. So there's just so many things to think about, and we're really looking forward to experiencing all those things and sharing them with you.
Absolutely.
So that you can
We're gonna keep going.
You can be as geeky as we are about food and wine. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Thank you.